All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our SCORE podcast. This is our first podcast of the 2021 year. Today, we'll be talking about the Lunar New Year, and we brought in a special guest, Natalie. She'll be here to join us. We're going to start off with introductions. Yeah. My name is Daphne. I am currently a senior at Scripps College, and I am about to graduate. I am majoring in cognitive science and minoring in Asian American studies. Megan.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan. I'm a programming intern at SCORE. I am a sophomore at Scripps and I'm majoring in psychology and Asian American studies.
Hi everybody, I'm Natalie. I am a third year at Scripps and I am majoring in media studies.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Natalie.
So we're going to jump right in talking about Lunar New Year. And before we talk a little bit about our personal experiences with the holiday, we are going to discuss a little about the history of Lunar New Year. And so many countries in Asia celebrate Lunar New Year, and it's mostly the date that Lunar New Year falls on is followed by a lunisolar calendar. So that's a calendar where the dates indicate both the moon phase and the time of the solar year, which is very different from the Gregorian calendar that we follow for a majority of the world, like the U.S. and Europe and many other countries. But so, for instance, like China follows the Gregorian calendar, but they still celebrate holidays like the Lunar New Year that are in the traditional lunisolar calendar. So countries in Southeast Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East, they all celebrate their own New Year's that follow their own local lunisolar calendars, but all of these dates fall on different dates. So what we're specifically talking about today in our podcast episode is the Lunar New Year that falls in the late January and early February. And it's also important to know that many people refer to this as Chinese New Year, but that's a misnomer, and it's not just celebrated in China. So we want to use the term Lunar New Year so that it encompasses many different cultures and countries that celebrate this New Year. And so Daphne's going to talk a little bit about the myth of Chinese New Year.
Yeah, so for Chinese New Year specifically, the celebration is based on a myth about this creature, a mythical beast called Nian, which is spelled Nian, and it's essentially the phrase for year in Mandarin. And so this mythical beast, it was said to have eaten livestock and crops on New Year's Eve across the country. And so in order to prevent this mythical beast, Nian, from attacking people and causing destruction, people would put food at their doors, and they had a bunch of rituals that would deter the beast from coming near them and their livestock. So a lot of the traditions stem from what these people would do. For example, Nian was scared of loud noises, so there's a lot of firecrackers that go off during Chinese New Year, and also the color red. So oftentimes everyone dresses up in the color red in their traditional like Chinese New Year outfits. And then people also put red lanterns and red scrolls on their windows and doors so that the creature Nian wouldn't come inside. And these red lanterns and red scrolls, you see them now all the time. They'll put these like words, specific Chinese words on them, and they'll tape them onto the windows. And in Chinatown, they have this ritual of having like dragons, the creature going from door to door, and you would see all of like the restaurants and the buildings in Chinatown. They'll put out like some food and some red envelopes so that the dragon or the beast would go and eat it, and then wouldn't go into the stores, so they wouldn't cause destruction in the stores. So yeah, that's kind of the root of a lot of the traditions that are associated with Chinese New Year. And yeah, Megan is going to talk a little bit more about the other aspects of Lunar New Year as a whole.
Yeah, so it's also important to note that not all countries in Asia and East Asia specifically celebrate Lunar New Year. So specifically in regards to Japan, um, they don't exactly celebrate Lunar New Year, and that has a lot to do with the history of Japan and the imperialism and westernization of Japan during its imperial rule in the major rule in Japan, and it speaks a lot about, looking at the history of Lunar New Year. You can really see um, how, like, the history of the countries that celebrate it and its origins. So with Japan, it speaks a lot about how its relationship to the West and how it has transitioned to capitalism and to a more modern and industrialized nation state during its time when it adopted the Gregorian calendar much earlier on compared to the other countries in Asia. So yeah, that's just something interesting to keep in mind about the history of Lunar New Year and the countries that do celebrate it and don't. So yeah, we want to open it up a little bit more to talk about our personal experiences, and especially with our guest Natalie. How do you usually celebrate Lunar New Year, and what are some traditions that you do with your family?
Yeah. Actually, when you guys were talking about the history of like
Mm-hmm.
Lunar New Year's, it just reminds me a lot of how like I used to celebrate it when I used to live in Vietnam when I was younger, especially with the red envelope and the dragon dancers coming by to like take the
Mm-hmm.
envelope. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just remember like a lot of like Lunar New Year's where like there would just be like huge neighborhood wide like festivities like going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really contrasts how like I celebrate it now, like being in America, because it's more of a quiet celebration between like
Mm-hmm.
my family, where we just like go over somebody's house and we just like eat and like do the red envelope with like the elders. And that's like sort of how we celebrate it now, I guess like pre-COVID, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any specific foods that you and your family usually eat?
Yeah. So there's this like dish called bantet. Like it's literally translates to like Lunar New Year's food or like bread or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's like sticky rice and inside it either has like meat or mung bean, I think.
Mm.
And that's what we eat. Or like there's a candied I can't, I don't really know what it is, like roots or whatever.
Uh-huh,
I,
uh-huh.
yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Or
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same thing, but there's like something called Wazang. I'm not sure. Actually, I might be wrong. I feel like for me, I think it goes into what you're talking about a lot though, like how it's kind of different celebrating in America. I think for me, I was born and raised in America, but my parents are from Taiwan. And so like I kind of got bits and pieces of the celebration, like with my family and then like going to Chinese school and stuff. But for me, I feel like a lot of the traditional Chinese festivals actually blend it all together, and I have trouble differentiating like which foods I had at which celebration. But I think Lunar New Year in particularly, I feel like I've definitely eaten something like that with like the rice and then the meat inside.
Mhm.
Sometimes they have like red bean inside as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
how about you,
Yeah.
Megan? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same kind of like I didn't really grow up. I was born in Hong Kong, but I grew up in the US all my life. So I have no like I've seen like videos and pictures of how they celebrate in Hong
Mhm.
Kong, but I don't really have that connection to how it's celebrated there versus here. Like all I know is that when it's in the US, we it's pretty low key, like how
Mhm.
both of you have been saying. We just have a family dinner and we have red envelopes. But there, I used to do line dance growing up too. So
Mm.
I was in that. We had a lot of performances for Lunar New Year, and my
Mhm.
dad used to do like calligraphy on like the little red pieces of paper that you like
Yeah.
tape onto the wall for like good luck and on your front door and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's just like yeah, those little things. Like my grandma gets like this whole like it's like box of like candies. I don't even know, but it's like with the almond cookies and just a bunch of like candies that every time I go to her place for the new year, it's like my favorite thing. Like I'll always eat all the candy off the dish. But
Yeah.
yeah, Natalie, were you born in Vietnam?
Yeah, I was. I lived there until I was like 7, and then I moved here.
Oh wow. So do you remember a lot about?
Yeah, I think I remember enough. Like, I just like big celebrations and stuff.
Mhm.
Obviously, like the celebrations would be much grander back in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I do. My parents actually were thinking of going back for like so Lunar New Year's in Vietnamese is Tết, so they're thinking of going back for Tết this year. Actually,
Mhm.
they like had saved up money and stuff, but like with COVID, they couldn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, because they like
Mhm.
miss it. I think it's just like a bigger festival type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm I'm thinking a lot about just how um I know like a lot of people because for us like we have winter break, right? And that's like because of
Mhm.
Christmas and Thanksgiving and we have Thanksgiving break and all that. But I was always like really surprised that my cousins in Taiwan weren't having winter break, but they actually do have winter break, but it's around like Lunar New Year, you know. They have like 2 3 weeks off during then. So it's really interesting to see like the differences, like how like everything, how culture really shapes like the way of life in different countries. Um, and I'm thinking about just how different the experiences of celebrating the festivals are, right? Like I vaguely remember being in Taiwan for Chinese New Year when I was like really young and getting to go to all of like the fancy festivities and stuff. And it's definitely far different from America. And I think for me, I mean, because I'm Chinese, I feel like America places a big emphasis on like Chinese Lunar New Year. And I'm wondering for you, Natalie, how does that like, did that shift your perspective of Lunar New Year looks like in America? Like, were you like, oh, this is so interesting. Like, why is it just Chinese? Or because obviously you had celebrated Vietnamese Tet, right? So yeah, I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, actually, because I moved to Maryland when I like went to the United States and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
Maryland has like a huge Vietnamese population.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really felt disconnected from, I guess, my roots.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess coming to the Claremont, I felt a little bit weirder about it because like
Mm-hmm.
the dining halls would be like, oh, like Chinese New Year meal, Chinese New
Mm,
Year
Yeah.
celebration. And it's like, okay, well, not only Chinese people celebrate it. Like, what about like
Right.
the other like Asian like students?
mm,
And so that was kind of weird. Like, and just having some like other like non-Asian like peers just being like, oh, happy Chinese New Year's to me. And I'm like,
mhm.
that's like I don't know, it's not really topical to me, I guess. But like I get
Yeah.
their sentiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
I have a question for you guys.
yeah.
Um, for when you received the red envelope, were there like greetings you're supposed to say to like your grandma or something like or somebody like a certain greeting like or was that just like a Vietnamese thing? I don't know.
Um, I
I definitely did. But
like
go ahead,
I
babe.
feel like I feel like there's not like a specific one that I say, but I say like, oh, like wish you like good health and like like good luck, like everyone going a possible like everyone knows
Mhm.
everyone says that, but I don't know. I'm also not fluent in like Cantonese, and I am just like I know like literally two things besides going a possible, so I'll always be like repeating that every New Year. But yeah, what about you?
No, yeah, that's great that you brought that up because I feel like the key phrase that's associated to Lunar New Year for me is it's obviously 恭喜发财 in Mandarin, right? 恭喜发财 Cantonese. But then we always follow it up with the 红包拿来, which means like please give me the red envelope, and it's kind of just like a childish saying, and we always like joke about it in Chinese school, and like the adults would be like, don't say that, that's not respectful. But it's kind of like I feel like it's kind of universal, at least for the people in my Chinese school, people I grew around with. Like we would always follow it up with yeah, 红包拿来. But like Megan said, also like for example, like there's also associations between like they have like the puns as well, right? Like for example, we would say 年年有余, which is like hope you like have a prosperous new year. But like yu is fish, so then we'll always eat fish during Chinese New Year. Yeah. So what about you? What are some of the phrases that you were taught to say?
It'll be like, I wish you good health, and the one like phrase that I remember is just like, I wish you good health and that you live to 100 years. Like, yeah, just being like live long for 100 years. So yeah, it's like sweet. I don't know. I don't know if I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say like more like what Daphne said, like not childish greetings, because I always taught them when I was younger, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying like more like mature greetings, but I don't. I say very childish things because I'm not like again like I'm not 100% fluent. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like my family knows that I like only know the very most basic level of Cantonese. So like I feel like yeah, they're understanding, but I'm also like I mean like I'll try to learn more, and it just never clicks. Like I always forget. And it's like once a year, so it's like I'm not always using these phrases, you know?
Yeah, no, straight up, like literally 年年有余 is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But I agree. I don't know. I feel like they also have like both of you saying they have less expectations, you know, as an ABC or as like someone who's born across. Like my mom will have me like send videos to my grandparents, and it's usually just like 年年有余, and then like wish you a healthy life and stuff. Yeah.
Every time I like when my parents talk to relatives in Hong Kong, I'm like so embarrassed. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk on the phone because like they're gonna know that I'm so bad. It's already embarrassing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do y'all eat like for me, I know that my family eats vegetarian for like the first week of the new year. Is that something that y'all do too?
We do not. No.
Did you say vegetarian?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Natalie.
Oh, yeah, but I think this is like it's a universal experience where there's like spring cleaning. So then like you clean your house, like the good spirits will come for the New Year's. Yeah, that's what my family does. But
Is that what you do, Daphne?
Yeah, we do spring cleaning as well. But I was thinking about like spring cleaning, and then I don't know, in terms of eating, I think my family, because over here it's just me, my mom, and my dad. And so typically like we'll celebrate with other families around, but not like other family friends. But I don't think there's any like specific like dietary things that we do. It's just like eating that big like Chinese New Year feast, you know, with the nian gao, like the rice cakes. And like like the food that's associated with the sayings that everyone says. But spring cleaning is definitely a thing. We try our best, but we don't always do spring cleaning. Yeah.
I'm really bad at that, like getting myself clean. Cleaning for me comes in like random bursts of like energy, like at 1 a.m. in the morning. So it's like to have like a day to plan my cleaning is like not for me.
Yeah. are there any like superstitions that you all have? Like, for example, I'm thinking about how I don't think I've actually done this myself, but I was always taught that like kids are supposed to stay up the whole night so that their parents would have good health for the next year. Like they can't go to sleep until until like the sun rises or something. Yeah, I don't know. Any superstitions that you all have followed or heard of, maybe?
I feel like there are superstitions,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. I feel like we haven't practiced them for so long that I can't remember what they
Mm,
were. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I haven't heard of that one. Is that something you do, Daphne?
Like personally, I don't think I've ever done that, but I know my parents have definitely told me that, and I've learned that in like Chinese school about like that's
Mm,
something that kids are expected to do. But yeah, it's really
yeah.
interesting. I feel like a lot of what I learn is also picked up on like from the media, like just how that's portrayed, and it always gets me thinking about like, am I only understanding? Because obviously, like traditions for Lunar New Year vary across cultures, across like even like from Taiwan to Hong Kong, right? That I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
looks different. Um, and like what I'm remembering, I feel like a lot of it is like American mainstream media and how they portrayed Lunar New Year as well. And so it makes me wonder, like, if I actually grew up in Taiwan and like learn how to celebrate it properly the way that my culture does it, like whether I'm like missing out on a lot of things, or like yeah, I'm always like thinking like, like do I even have the right picture of what Lunar New Year is or should be in my culture? Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah, I
you
feel that.
would you ever want to like would you guys ever want to like visit your like your home country for like the Lunar New Year's?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like I just don't know much about it during like the celebrations during New Year, but I would want to experience it. Like, I think I would want to even live in Hong Kong for a little bit. So I feel like there's always that disconnect, like being in the US, like, and also having family there. Like, you feel like you have some sort of some sort of connection
Mm-hmm.
to your home like country, but like with like your family there and like I don't know, it's just always it feels like I'll never like know more about what it's like to like experience learning it or just like live in Hong Kong and like be surrounded by the culture until like I actually live there for like a longer period of time. Like all I have are like memories, like snippets of memories when I was like a baby. But yeah, for sure. I think also in the US, like I don't know where like I guess if I go to like Chinatown, like there are celebrations, but like that's kind of the only thing I can think of like to go out in the public and have celebrations like not just staying at home with your family and celebrating, even though as much as I love that, like it just be cool to be in like a place where going back to your home country and being surrounded by everyone who celebrates it and all, like
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool. What about you, Daphne?
Yeah, no, I definitely would want to go and like celebrate it in Taiwan for sure. I feel like there's a lot of things I'm missing out. I remember like my one memory of doing Lunar New Year's, and it might just be because of photos, but we would like light the little lanterns, and I would like run around with my cousin like doing the little like fireworks and stuff. And I
Oh.
feel like yeah, it would be really nice. Also, just to be with family too, because we're never
Mhm.
with family, even for like the traditional New Year celebrations and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and I was thinking a lot about like what that experience would be like because I actually celebrated Lunar New Year in Chinatown in London last year because I was studying abroad.
Oh.
Yeah,
What?
and that was such an interesting experience because I went with a couple of my friends and we were talking about just like what that experience was like, and I realized, they were trying to sell the holiday to a Western audience, or they're trying to like make it for a Western perspective.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. There were lots of aspects of Chinese culture, or Chinese culture, because it was also like Chinese New Year. That's how it was branded. Like thinking about like how those types of celebrations for Western audiences are different than the ways that like the actual celebrations look like, right? And that's kind of where I was thinking what I wanted to talk about in this podcast. I just feel like the way that I was raised and in America, and getting these like ideas of what Lunar New Year should look like for me, but it's not actually the same in Taiwan. Which I've touched on already. But yeah, I guess that those are my thoughts on that. What about you, Natalie? Would you want to go back to Vietnam anytime soon to celebrate?
Yeah, I think it'd be super fun. I don't know. I miss having like just a really big celebration for things like like the autumn festivals and like Lunar New Year's. Like I think like I don't know. I don't know if it's just like nostalgia, but like I feel like I just remember it being so much fun. And so I don't know. It'd be nice because here it's like nice to like spend time with family, but it always feels like we have to like mute our own celebration in order to fit in with the rest of the American society, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. When was the last time you went back?
I went back the summer before my first year of college. So like 3-ish years ago. So yeah, pretty recent-ish. We try to go every 5 years. So yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah. Have you guys like visited your home country? Like since, well, for Megan, since you've been here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, no, I think the last time I went back to Hong Kong was in 5th grade or 3rd grade. So I really can't remember much. Wow. Except that I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's been like a while. I mean, I would say I'm really blessed to have been able to go back quite a bit, especially I think because my parents actually, I just found out recently that their intention was never to stay in America. Like they always meant to go back, but they just things happened and they just stayed here. But I've been able to go back. I think the last time I went back was like 2 or 3 years ago. But it's definitely been good to be able to like, be in Taiwan and stuff. But I think there's a lot of, I feel like there's so much we can talk about, but obviously we don't have a lot of time to talk about everything. But I'm wondering maybe for our last question, we can talk about like what our plans are for this year. How are you all looking to celebrate it in these like COVID circumstances, especially?
Yeah, so I'm not, it's pretty sad. I'm not home like right now, so I'm living with some friends. So I won't really be getting to celebrate with my family as usual, but normally like we don't really do much. If we're just staying at home, we have like special dishes that my mom cooks, which is like all vegetarian for the first week. But now that I'm living with friends, we're planning on doing like the whole week to cook different like Asian dishes for the New Year, and I don't know exactly what we'll be doing on the day of, but yeah, we're just gonna keep it low-key again and just stay at home. Yeah.
I was meaning to ask, do you know where the vegetarian tradition comes from? Like what that stems from, or what that means?
No idea. I don't really know. Like my mom just says, I think it's like the idea of like starting off the new year healthy and like, I don't know, like being cautious of like what you put in your body is like starting off that new year with that kind of habit, like to eat healthy. And I don't know, but there are very specific dishes that my mom cooks, like this vegetarian casserole, like bunch of mushrooms and stuff. So like I don't really know where that tradition comes from, and I didn't know it was specific. I don't know if it's specific to Hong Kong because I do have friends from Hong Kong who also eat vegetarian as like the first meal of the New Year, but maybe it is specific to Hong Kong. I honestly don't know, but that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good tradition to have. I feel like resetting your body, being conscious of what you put into your body. It's good.
Yeah.
Try that.
Yeah. But what are you, Natalie? How are you planning on celebrating?
So Lunar New Year's actually is the day right after my birthday, my 21st birthday. So I am probably gonna hybrid it and try to celebrate New Year's and my birthday on the same day, with just like my roommate and like one other friend. Yeah, we're probably just gonna hang out and like maybe try to cook something, but yeah, what about you?
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy early birthday.
Yeah, happy early birthday. It's exciting.
Yeah. I feel like when I was in college or not being at home for Lunar New Year's, I was like, I feel like my mom like does magic when she's like cooking these dishes. I would have no idea how to cook these dishes. But for me this year, I think we're just gonna cook some stuff. My mom's been talking about all the stuff that she wants to cook. So I'm excited to be able to maybe partake in learning how to cook some of these dishes. But yeah, again, it's just me and my mom and dad, and then we typically like will call like relatives in Taiwan as well to chat with them and catch up. So yeah, that's what it'll look like.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for joining our conversation about the Lunar New Year. And thank you all for tuning in. Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in. And
follow us on Instagram and give us feedback if you're interested in learning more about Lunar New Year's or any other, like what other topics you want to hear about throughout the semester. You can find us at Score Scripts, SCORESCRIPPS on Instagram, and we'll take your feedback there. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you all. And again, thank you so much, Natalie, for taking time out of your day to join us and have this conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.